What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy BT, and today we've got this outlet set right here. We've got an electrical on the right, Ethernet on the left, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually tap into the electrical and add a jack along the wall to another space, and then we're also going to relocate the Ethernet. So some of the tools we're going to be using here, some of the products, we've got some butt connectors. We'll use this for the Ethernet to jumper that over to the new spot. We'll cover up the plate that was the original spot for the Ethernet, since we won't be using that anymore. We've got the electrical outlet, the plate for that. We've got two of these boxes here. I think these are labeled as old installation. I can't remember the name of how it's categorized, but the ones with the little flippers on the bottom, that's what you'll be using for your cutouts. We've got an Ethernet line here that we're going to cut to use. We've got the electrical. And then we also have this tool here that I will put a link in the description. But this tool right here will help us remove the baseboard. And then, last thing here, we have this oscillating tool right here, and we'll use this to cut the drywall to get access to the studs to make our holes. And yeah, I also have a long bit, which I'll show you later as well, that we're going to use to drill those holes out, but we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so now that we've kind of scored the edge here along the baseboard, now we have to separate it from whatever's holding it in. So you're going to have some small nails that are nailed across that baseboard. So we're just going to go ahead and try to get this thing separated without, with doing as minimal damage as possible, because it's going to all have to go back together. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the bottom of the tool here, and we're going to wedge it underneath, press up against the wall, and pull so that we can start to get some separation. All right, so we're able to get that baseboard off, so we're going to go ahead and go to the short board here over there. We're going to go ahead and take that off, since we'll need that space to work as well. All right, so here we have our drywall. You can obviously see this is the line where the baseboard is hitting. So what we want to do is we probably want to choose a spot below that to cut all of this section out here of the drywall. We'll pull it from the wall. Then we'll go ahead and start the process with the bit of drilling through the bottom of the studs to run that wire over to the left side there. But we're probably going to cut maybe about right here. Yep, so we'll use this tool to cut, and we'll see how we progress forward. But since we're only working from this side forward, we're not going to actually cut the whole thing. We're going to go ahead and cut from a decent section here. We know there's a stud running right here in the center, so we're probably going to cut a little bit from here over, take that piece out, and get to work. All right, so now we've got this cut. As you can see, we do have access to the studs right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill holes through there to get it over to the other side. So far it's looking good. So now we're going to go ahead and cut this piece out as well so we can continue to get access to get across, which is where we want to drop these on the other side of the wall. All right, since this piece of drywall is actually tucked behind here, we're actually going to cut it short with enough space to get access here, and we should be good to go. Alright, so now we have created full access to the other side that we want to drop these wires to. Everything looks good, looks accessible. Alright, so then we're going to go ahead, I'm going to get the bit that we're going to use to drill. So we have to drill through 3 studs, that's not too bad, to get our wires run. So we're going to go ahead and get that drilled out. Alright, so here is my bit. It is quite a long bit, as you can see here. But this is made to be able to drill in situations like this. So hopefully we should be able to get this drilled out fairly easily. And actually, considering how much space we have here, we could actually have used a wood bit connected to the drill and probably been able to drill out 3 spots that way. Or actually, we could use just any regular wood bit to get through there. So typically you would use this to kind of run some really long runs through the wall. So like in theory, you put this here and you start drilling and you can get all the way through. But now that I'm seeing this and I'm seeing how much space I have available here, I'm actually going to go ahead and get just a regular bit and see how that works to see if you can drill through that space. We know this would work in this application, but we're going to go ahead and try an actual regular bit attached to the drill and see how that works. All right, so I'm going to use the biggest bit I have, which is a 3/8, and we're going to see if we're able to get access here to drill this with just a regular drill and not have to buy any specialty tool like this one. We know this will work, but we're going to go ahead and give a regular drill bit a try here. All right, so we're going to do a test fit here to make sure that this size hole will work for the 2 wires we need to run. So we're just going to go ahead and test the hole size here, make sure we're good with this hole size. So a 3/8 bit is good for electrical run 1, but we're going to need to widen that hole a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and get these holes prepped up and then get the wires run. So since our electric is on the right side of the stud, we're going to run this from here through here over to this side, and we're just going to pass this through. Okay, so we fed through enough electrical wire. Now we're going to go ahead and feed through our Ethernet wire here. So since the Ethernet's on the left side, we're just going to pass it through the hole that we drilled for it to its destination. All right, so right now we're going to take off this plate for the Ethernet jack here, and we're going to get some measurements for how high up the outlet's installed so we can do the same height on the new installation. So from the floor, these are sitting 15 inches from the floor to the edge of that cut. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the spot for our new boxes, get those cut out with the handsaw, and get the boxes situated so we can start to put those wires in place. All right, so here's the location where we're going to be installing. So what I'm going to do here, we find our stud. Our stud is right here. So we know we've got between where the stud is, which is right here, and between the wall to mount our boxes, we know we're about 15 inches from the bottom of the floor to where we're going to mount the boxes. So what we're going to do is get a quick mark here of our 15-inch spot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick 2 spots. We're going to map out our holes here with this box. And then we're going to cut them out. So we know we're sitting right there at about that 15-inch mark. So we could put 1 box here. We could put 1 box here. But always check where your studs are. So we actually have a little bit more space. So actually I'm going to move this over a little bit to the left here, so we can get just enough space. And so all we're going to do now is we're going to draw out our lines here to cut out our box. So here we have our line right there. And we have our line here. And so we know we have a little bit of space here on this side here to also put the other box. So let's say we're going to put that box right about here. And we'll do the same thing with mapping out those lines. Alright, so we got our 2 spots mapped out for our boxes to be cut. So we're going to go ahead and cut those out. Now you can use a small drywall saw for this, but you know, we got power tools today, so we're going to use them. I'm typically doing everything manually, but we got power tools today, so we're going to go ahead and cut this out quickly. So after we've got these holes cut out, we can go ahead now, test fit our boxes, make sure they fit appropriately in the hole. If all looks well there, we're going to go ahead and run our wires through and get ready to terminate them in the box. All right, now that we have our wires accessible here, our box is mounted to the wall, we can start to terminate these wires. So with this Ethernet jack, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the port from the cover. Now we need to pop this piece off right here. All right, now that we got that out, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the mapping for these wires here. So just notate how the wires are run. So based on how this is terminated, we're using the B sequence here. So this is an orange, white. This is an orange. So we're going to set it up for B. So we can go ahead and just pull this out and go ahead and re-terminate this on the other side. And on this side, what we're going to do is prepare this wire to be connected with this wire. So what we're going to do is, before we do that, we're going to go to the other side, get this terminated to the B diagram here. We've got a little mini punch tool we're going to use to press these down into place. And once we get that terminated, hook the plate up, reattach that to the wall, and then we come and finish up on this side. Alright, so here we have our port, and again we're going to map this to the B wiring. So before we wrap everything up on this side, we're going to go ahead and put our splices over on the side that we disconnected this from, and make sure that we're going to get a signal here before we tidy everything up. All right, so now that we have this wire run, we know we're going to need about maybe this much wire here to terminate, so we're going to go ahead and cut this. All right, so we got this cut, so now we need to feed this up into the box here. We're going to try this, see if we can get it to go the first time here. All right, So we got them in there. All right, so we successfully have run our wire through. We actually have a little bit extra more than we need. So I'm going to cut a little bit more off of this wire here. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to strip this back here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this one as well. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to strip this back as well. So here are our splices, and so we know we have 4 pairs that we need to splice. We're going to go ahead, get 4 of these out. Okay, so we have our 4 pairs here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to match each one up. So we'll start with green and white. Well, actually, before we even do that, we're going to untwist all of our wires here. Okay, so with all our wires untwisted, all we're going to do is go ahead. We're going to match up our wires. So we're going to start with green. So here we have solid green and solid green. So we're going to match these up. Okay, once you have those in place, go ahead and get your pliers and press down. So you hear that snap, and you repeat this for the remainder of the wires. And correction, with 4 sets of wires, you're going to need 8 splices. All right, now after you finish splicing your twisted pair, you can just twist everything together, tuck it back into the box, and we will put on our cover plate. Looks like we have a light flashing here, so I believe our connection is good. Alright, so with a solid connection, we're going to go ahead, we're going to plug out this wire here, and we're going to get this buttoned up onto the wall. Now to do the electrical, we're going to have to shut off power to this particular outlet before we can do the work on that. Alright, so we've got the breaker shut off. Next thing we have to do is take this outlet out of here. Alright, so now what we need to do is to run the wire up through one of the holes here. So we're going to have to make an opening in one of the holes and then run that wire up from behind here. Okay, once we know exactly where we're going to drop our wire in here, we're going to cut some of this excess off and feed it up through the hole here. So we're going to go ahead and cut it right here. And now we're going to go ahead and feed it up into the opening. Alright, now that we got our wire out, next thing we're going to do is just terminate it. Since we don't have any spots on the back, we're going to go ahead and terminate it on the sides. So we'll cut a little bit of excess off there and strip back the wires. Okay, now that we have that all set, we can go ahead and turn the breaker back on. Alright, so now that we have our electrical all wired up, we should be able to test this port right here, and everything should be working good. We've got power. There we go. We've got power. Alright, with everything verified with our electrical and our Ethernet, as you can see, we got our nice cover right here that's covering over that spot where we did our splice connectors. Now we just have to put the drywall back in on the bottom, reattach the baseboard, and this job is done.
So after you get your baseboards cleaned up, get those put in place, test fit them, get some mud, put it on the wall, get everything situated, get your nail gun out, this is what the end product will be. You'll have to caulk it up, paint all the spots that need to be painted. But just showing you the process of how to add and move outlets is your boy BT. Thank you for checking out this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.